Welcome to Back to School Night. This is Mrs. Willis, and this is Modern American History, periods 4 and 5. So, a little bit about myself. I graduated from UCLA in 2003 with a BA in History and a minor in Classical Civilizations. I'm starting my 16th year teaching here at Warren High School. I've spent my entire teaching career at Warren High School, so maybe I've taught siblings of your student, but it's a great place to teach. I enjoy the students. I have taught U.S. history, world history, government, and economics. Part of my duties this year is that I am also an instructional coach, so I help other teachers with integrating technology into their classrooms, adjusting into distance learning, and testing out and piloting new programs. A little bit about my personal life. I am married. I have 2 kids. My husband is also a teacher, so we are all home right now, distance learning and Zooming together. So at any point in time, we could all be on Zoom. So I definitely understand this unique situation that we are all in. And so I'm definitely here to support everyone. And then the biggest thing that I'm trying to reinforce to my students is just to communicate to me whatever issues that they're having so we can work through them. So, a little bit about the class. This is Modern American History. First semester, we will examine the founding of our country, the Industrial Revolution, Progressive Era, World War I, the Jazz Age, and the Great Depression. Right now, we've been reviewing the colonial period in America, American Revolution. Next week, we'll talk about causes of the Civil War. And later this week, we will explore how our Constitution was written. Second semester, we will begin to focus on World War II, the Cold War, the Civil Rights Movement, changes in American society, with an emphasis on social, political, and economic trends. So, the class workload. This is a copy of the weekly agenda that I post. I try to have this posted by Sunday afternoon, early evening for students. That way they can see what's happening during the week. And so this is just a quick at a glance. That way they know what time we are meeting for our Zooms, what assignments are scheduled that day, when they are due, and also office hours. So this is, again, available to students on late Sunday for them to review. Part of their weekly agenda, they will have a daily question every day that they need to answer every day that we meet. And they have weekly key terms. So they have the week to complete this. Part of our class workload is that we have live Zoom sessions on days that our periods meet. So this was a sample for period 5. So period 5, we meet on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday during a normal week. Video notes will be assigned twice a week, and usually they're assigned on our block days. And so students will watch the notes on Edpuzzle. So I make video notes, and then I also post a PDF of the notes to Canvas. So the kids want to rewatch the notes, they can, but they also have a copy of the notes so that they can review at a later time. I don't require them to write any of the notes down. I do encourage it if they want to keep records for themselves and keep their own notes, but I will not be checking that. The Edpuzzle notes that I post, I embed questions throughout the notes, and that is how I check for understanding, check to make sure that they have watched the notes. Classwork assignments are on block days. So our typical block day is that I will have the students watch the Edpuzzle. The Edpuzzle usually ranges around 15 minutes, sometime maybe a little bit longer. So they'll watch the Edpuzzle. We Zoom together for about 30 minutes, sometimes a little longer, just depending where we can talk about the notes, review any main ideas, and then I also explain what their assignment for the day will be, and always have time for questions in case kids need help with understanding the assignment. So student expectations, and I have this little poster about Zoom expectations. We encourage students to turn their camera on if possible. We understand there's always lots of things going on in the household and, multiple people working. So, if possible, it's I, as a teacher, I want to see their face. I'm hoping that we will be back in the classroom at some point this year. And so that way I can put names to faces and start to recognize my students. It's important for them to be respectful, to display good digital citizenship, to participate in lessons, whether it be via audio and they unmute themselves or through the chat feature. Lately, I've been doing a lot of polls on Zoom, so that kind of helps to get quick feedback. We encourage them to try to be in a quiet, distraction-free zone when we're Zooming. But again, I understand too, with trying to find quiet space with 3 other people Zooming in the household. So, if possible, to keep their mic muted during instruction, and then to be on time during our class sessions. That's one of my first bullet points, is to attend the live Zoom sessions. And this helps you determine, or this does determine, attendance. So if they are present, they are present. If they've missed, they will be considered absent. We understand that there are technical difficulties, especially with the different changes that have been happening at the district with Zoom. So if your student is having technical difficulties, please have them reach out to me via Remind, send me an email through Canvas. That way, we have that flexibility to know that they were attempting to attend the session, but couldn't for some other reason, and we can mark them present. Students need to complete assigned work in a timely manner. I set due dates because I feel it's important for students to know when I would like something completed versus it being completely open-ended. But I am flexible in the sense that I understand that there are other time constraints. I know some of our students are also watching younger siblings, but I just don't want them to fall behind in their work as well. So try to get things done during the class period as much as possible. Also, for students to behave appropriately for each classroom activity, for our Zoom lectures to, listen, but if I put them in breakout rooms to participate and discuss with their classmates. And then also, very, very important to communicate to me if you are having issues. I've already had a few students communicate some tech issues they're having. If I cannot help them, then I will refer them to our district tech help or our on-site tech help so we can try to get those things resolved. Late work. Late work is accepted. So right now my goal is to be as flexible as possible for our students. I know that they want to get their work in on time, and sometimes circumstances will happen that they won't be able to turn in their work. And it could be just Wi-Fi's out, there's technical difficulties, or there's a family emergency. So totally understand that. At the moment, there's no late penalty, so I'm not taking off any points. When they turn something in to Canvas, because I do have set due dates, it will say that it's late, but there is no penalty, no points are deducted. I do encourage students to turn in their work on time so that they do not fall too far behind. I don't want them to be lazy right now and then have weeks of work to make up at the end of the quarter and the semester. So something happens that, they're missing this assignment or that assignment, they can make that up. It's no big deal. But they should do their best to kind of keep on track with the due dates that I have set. Students, I ask that they just communicate to me if they do need extra time on assignments, so that way I understand what's going on and don't think that they are just slacking off. Grading. So I use a weighted category system. So everything that we do has points and is put into a specific category. So the weekly agendas, that was the sample week at a glance that I showed you, that includes their key terms and their daily questions that they have to answer. And that's 15% of their grades. They have one of those every week that they need to fill in and turn back in. There are also the Ed Puzzle notes. And so they have 2 of those each week that they watch and they answer the questions. That is worth 20% of their grade. General assignments. These can be classwork assignments, just other things that I've assigned to them. That is 15%. Discussions. I'm trying to do maybe weekly discussions, pose topics to them, have them respond in our discussion board. So that's 10%. And then assessments is 40%. So I explained to my students that um, I left assessments very vague because I'm not quite sure how we're going to be assessing them. It could be quizzes, it could be short answers. Um, Probably not going to do a lot of multiple choice tests. Maybe they're going to, work on a project or a presentation. So um, we're really kind of thinking of ways that students can show to us that they've learned the content in this new distance learning format. So assessments, like I said, it will vary depending on the unit and depending on what we are doing. Learning goals. So my goals for this year is to connect with all of my students. And so I know that is difficult with us not being in the school together yet. That's one reason why I really encourage them to have their cameras on, because I think just having that visual connection really helps to kind of, keep that connection going. I also want to provide help and support to all of my students. Whatever they need help with, I'll do my best to assist them, whether it's tech support or they have questions on the content. And if it's something that I can't answer, I will try to refer them to either one of our counselors or tech support at the district. I want to create a classroom, whether it's virtual right now or and hopefully in person in the future, that is engaging, that your student wants to come to and to learn from. My goal is to make history relevant. There's so much going on in the world that I think if students can better understand the context, that can kind of help to explain things. And then lastly, I want to challenge the way that my students think, not change the way that they think, not tell them what to think, but show them, give them the resources for them to develop their own opinions, to understand the world around them, to make informed opinions about what they are seeing. And so hopefully it's a lot to ask for, but again, it's goals. If we can reach them, that's great. If we, can accomplish half of it, I think that is still a success. So office hours, I'm available for office hours Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 2 to 3 by appointment. So just have them, send me a message ahead of time. Mrs. Willis, okay, can we meet to discuss this? And I will set up a Zoom where we can talk, or maybe they just need to send me a message and it's going to be a quick reply. Um, Contact information, email is the best way to get a hold of me, especially if they have kind of a longer question that they need to ask. My email address is mwillis@dusd.net. And then by Remind, so period 4 and 5 have different Remind codes. Most of the students have joined Remind, and this is a great way for me to communicate to them, just quick changes, quick reminders. We're meeting at Zoom at this time. Or if something comes up and I have to change the Zoom time, last minute, I can send them that message. And a lot of students have already been using that to ask me quick questions. If they can't get into something, they send me a message and I can answer back pretty quickly because I usually have my phone on me. I just ask that they send the messages during kind of like appropriate, you know, business hours, I should say. In the evening is fine, but maybe not later than 9 o'clock. And so far, all of the kids have been very respectful of that. And they can also send me a message on Canvas. And so this is the end of the presentation. I will open up the chat, and I also have a Padlet link if you want to post questions, have questions about the class, about the structure of the class, anything else that you would want answered. So thank you again for watching this presentation. I appreciate the time that you are taking to take an interest in your students' academic career.